Wisława Szymborska, Preserving the Universe through the Polish Word. A single grain of sand becomes a universe in the hands of Wisława Szymborska, not because it holds power, but because it holds meaning. In her deceptively unassuming verse, Szymborska turns perception into preservation, suggesting that consciousness itself is the mirror through which the universe glimpses its own mystery. Anders himself writes, the thought that the human mind may be the only mirror in which the universe can see its own reflection, as he details Szymborska's preoccupation with the human mind. She speaks with both humility and cosmic curiosity. Szymborska's poetry repeatedly returns to the paradoxes of existence. For example, how something so vast as the universe can reside within the fleeting flicker of human thought. Her poem, View with a Grain of Sand, encapsulates this theme, contrasting the self contained indifference of nature with the human impulse to name, notice, and remember. She writes, we call it a grain of sand, but it calls itself neither grain nor sand. This line embodies the central philosophical dilemma that things exist beyond us, indifferent to our awareness. Yet it is through our awareness that they gain form. Her play on words brings proper context to its true essence. The view doesn't view itself, and the sun sets without setting. The particulars of these minute details contradict the reality we live in, and Szymborska reveals this truth to those who are willing to accept it. She also displays a sort of disadvantage to these artifacts that exist but have no say in their existence. How the sun stops for us but needs to keep going, and the view of the lake is enjoyable for the viewer, but for itself it just exists without end, unable to see the beauty that it is. We do this by noticing and naming the multitude of things and experiences that surround us. The universe does not observe itself, but through us it is seen. Szymborska also uses paradox and non duality when she writes, the lake's floor exists floorlessly, and the shore exists shorelessly. These lines dissolve the boundaries between what is and what is not, suggesting a consciousness that no longer sees the world in fixed categories. A self aware universe would perceive the interconnectedness of all things, not separate like the floor from the not floor, or shore from not shore. The universe ultimately does not need to divide itself into parts. Szymborska's particular language emphasizes the details that ordinary people miss or don't take the time to consider. This is the essence of Szymborska's idea that the human mind is the only mirror in which the universe can see itself. Szymborska's philosophical depth is amplified by her mastery of the Polish language. Her diction is strikingly plain. However, this plainness is purposeful and never ornamental, layered with nuanced irony and tenderness. For example, in Polish, the word ziarenko, which is a diminutive of grain, adds a sense of intimacy and affection absent in the English grain. This kind of linguistic precision enhances her ability to reflect vast ideas with minimal expression. Moreover, Polish enables complex wordplay through its structure. Titles like Widok z ziarenkiem piasku can mean both a view with a grain of sand and a view through a grain of sand, allowing for interpretive multiplicity. Her poems often play with this double edged clarity in which the truth is simultaneously revealing and obscured. This indirectness allows for work to be interpreted by many people across time and space. Culturally, her tone of modesty reflects Polish norms. These include understatement, humility, and philosophical restraint. A phrase like nie wiem, which means I don't know, recurs throughout her work, not because it is a weakness, but as a wise concession to the limits of knowledge. In her universe, doubt is not failure, quite opposite, it is the reliable truth. Szymborska's most famous philosophical reflection might be found in her short poem, The Three Oddest Words. When I pronounce the word future, the first syllable already belongs to the past. When I pronounce the word silence, I destroy it. When I pronounce the word nothing, I make something no non being can hold. Here, language becomes both the medium and the boundary of reflection. The act of naming alters the thing itself named. Silence becomes sound, nothing becomes something. The world resists our concepts, yet we persist in trying to define them. In doing so, we contradict their destiny the moment we utter the words out loud or write them down. This mirrors the dilemma of the view with a grain of sand, especially when she writes. They splash death to their own noise, on pebbles neither large nor small. This suggests impartial self awareness. The universe observes itself without commentary or classification. The natural world is indifferent to our labels, yet our consciousness insists on meaning. Our mind craves to make sense out of nonsense. In both poems, Szymborska reveals how language shapes and limits our grasp of reality, and how the very tools we use to reflect the universe also distort it. This wordplay expands the reader's simplistic approach to life and allows for deeper understanding and search for the truth. The truth that hides within the mind is sometimes buried under the scars of the past. Szymborska's ability to overcome her personal duress during hardship paves the way for readers to reflect on personal pains and ponder incomprehensible questions that everyday life can diminish. I wrote a short poem. When pen meets paper, it's like a bond like no other, a creation of reality from imagination, a godly invention illuminating life into projection. When pen meets paper resonates deeply with Szymborska's themes. Like Szymborska, my poem explores how language transforms thought into being. The metaphor or creation through writing reflects the idea of consciousness as an act of word making, which echoes Szymborska's vision of humanity's reflective role. However, my tone is more lyrical and affirming, while Szymborska's is often ironic and restrained, where my lines celebrate illumination, hers ask whether the light reveals truth or merely casts a shadow. Still, both suggest that writing in any voice is a sacred act of reflection. Szymborska's poetry bridges the ordinary and the infinite, using the Polish language not just as a tool, but as a lens, one that captures the beauty of not knowing, the humility of reflection, and the quiet power of preserving. Wisława Szymborska's poetry reveals a universe that exists beyond our grasp. It is silent, formless, and unconcerned, and yet through human perception it becomes seen, named, and remembered. Her spare Polish phrasing, her modest voice, and her philosophical depth turn each poem into a mirror, not of the world as it is, but how it becomes meaningful to us. In every grain of sand she writes about, we find not just the world, but ourselves. Through the thinking, naming, and wondering, we allow the universe to become aware that it exists.